Welcome to another episode of Thriving by Nature podcast. I'm Bethany Stone, and this week has actually been really heavy for me. This week has been one that, those weeks that you're just like, I don't think I want to relive that ever. Well, that has been this week. There's been a lot of heavy things happening in my life, and with that, I've had to remember some of my own teachings and my own trainings and my own things that I know. And it is that when life gets heavy, you need to pause. I teach this and I've taught this for years and years, that whenever there's an emotional reaction, take a minute to respond rather than react. So these moments when everything feels heavy and our minds are spinning and our heart feels stretched and not okay, these are the moments that our body is asking for that pause. We live in a culture currently that really glorifies pushing through all the things. Keep going, hustle harder, do more. And I get it. I'm a coach. I'm an entrepreneur. I teach persistence and self-discipline. I love consistency, but there is a very big difference between being consistent and being overloaded. There's a huge difference between persistence and pressure. And there are seasons in life when the wisest thing that we can do is actually pause. There was a study. Let me see if I can pull this up here. I want to start with this study because it really opened my eyes when I was reading this. Okay. It says, the American Psychological Association found that more than 75% of adults report experiencing physical or emotional symptoms of stress. 75%. And yet, only a small percentage intentionally pause to regulate, rest, or reset. Most people push through until their bodies forces them to stop. I know this because I have lived that pattern myself, and I think that's why this study resonated with me so much. There was a moment in my life where everything felt like it was just stacking on top of each other. I had family things. I was lead teacher in a classroom. I had so many things happening. My marriage was falling apart. There was drama on my relationships. There was so many things, and I was holding it all in. And I was doing the same thing. I was like, I can do this, push through it, hustle harder, do more, keep going. And I just continued and tried to just push and push and push and push. And I was at school and I ended up blacking out. And when I came to, I was in the emergency room because I wasn't like coming to, I guess. And I had to have an emergency gallbladder surgery, which was terrible because that's not ever something that you want. But apparently it had been like leaking into my body or something. And I was like septic. It was a big deal. I was just pushing through so hard that it literally affected my body in so many ways. And we do this. We won't stop until our body forces us to stop. I was so physically exhausted. I was emotionally exhausted. And my body forced me to stop. I honestly, because of the way I was feeling with everything, I couldn't even see a way out. And honestly, my instincts were to keep moving. And I always went to like clean something or push forward or just keep going. So when I had this force of stopping, it made me really just reflect on things. It made me just be grateful for what I have. And when I did that, I could feel my nervous system begin to settle. And it was almost like my mind was then now catching up with my body and saying, oh, this is what we needed. A moment, a pause, a rest. And we don't give that to ourselves enough until something terrible happens or body parts just stop working because we have pushed and pushed too hard. These are things that really happen if we do not take that time. And I've lived it. There's a quote that I love from Viktor Frankl, and I think I actually quoted it in my last podcast, but it's okay. But it says, between stimulus and response, there is space. And in that space is the power to choose our response. We get to choose how we respond when there is a pause. And in that response lies our growth and our freedom. So the space that he talks about is really the pause. That is where clarity returns. This is where fear begins to soften. This is when we remember who we are and what truly matters. So I'm going to give you another perspective. There is another, I think I found this one out of Stanford. Okay. It says, let me give you another perspective. Researchers at Stanford found that when people are Researchers at Stanford found that when people are under sustained mental load, cannot read today, the prefrontal cortex, that's this part, the part of the brain that is responsible for making the decisions and all the emotional regulation, it becomes overworked. And when that happens, your brain literally loses some of its capacity to think clearly. What? So when we are overloaded, we lose the capacity to think clearly. This is why life gets heavy. This is why we can feel that mental load. This is why we can feel foggy, emotional, reactive, overwhelmed. It isn't a character flaw. This is biological. This is because we are not taking the time for ourselves. So the antidote to all of this is a pause. Taking that 10 seconds, to change from that emotional mindset into a rational mindset. It only takes 10 seconds. But what is better? 60 seconds. What is better? 2 minutes. 2 minutes is optimal, but we also live in a world that is just busy, 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 busy. And because we live in a world that is so busy, it makes it difficult to always have 2 minutes, which sounds crazy because it's 120 seconds. But when you don't even have 120 seconds, you have to take that step back and be like, okay, well, at least I have 10. Anyone can have 10 seconds. And that 10 seconds sometimes is just enough to have that pause. Because within that pause, there's power. Pause is power. There was one more statistic. There were so many things I found on this that I just found were so interesting. As I was feeling this and looking these things up, I'm like, this is what my podcast is going to be on, because this is, again, where I am in life. And sometimes you guys just get to have the podcast of, this is what I need. And maybe somebody else needs it too. But for me, this is what I needed. Okay, so this is a statistic from the University of Michigan. And it found that taking even 1 minute of deep breathing can reduce cortisol by up to 30%. That's crazy. 1 minute, a single pause. That is how powerful this is. That is how powerful it is that we are talking about this right now. So ask yourself this question right now. When life is getting heavy, are you pausing or are you pushing? To be honest with, yourself in this is hard, because when I ask myself this question, there are times where, even though I know, even though I'm teaching this, I will push and I have to take that step back because we have to allow silence to fill the space with just clarity. We don't need the silence to fill the space with more tasks. We need to also acknowledge that the weight is there and we often pretend that it's not there. Emotional load is heavy. So when life gets heavy, the pause is not the thing that is going to slow you down. The pause is actually the thing that saves you. It saves clarity and it can save relationships. It saves your energy. It saves your integrity and identity. And it saves all of the emotional pressure that we feel in the moment from being construed into something else. We really need to practice the pause. I always would call it wait time. So when I was in the classroom and I'd be training either a new assistant or I'd be talking to parents about, behavior modification type of deals and things like that, I would tell them that you have to give wait time. We are in such an instant, quick, responsive society that we forget that the wait time is the most important time. We need that pause, and other people also deserve that pause. Because when we pause, we turn our lives into something more strong. We have more strength. We have more focus. We have more capacity. And we can return back to intention and clarity. So there is a song that I would always sing in my classroom. And sometimes I sing on these. I don't know how many of these you've listened to, but Stephanie Lavelle, she is the writer of this song. It's not me. And she writes so many great songs, but I would teach this song so many times because it teaches how to pause. And it doesn't matter if it's a children's song or an adult song, whatever it is. Sometimes I use music to help me to remember to pause. So it goes, give yourself a bear hug because you're strong. Give yourself a bear hug because you're brave. Give yourself a bear hug because you're important. Give yourself a bear hug every day. Breathe in and breathe out. Hold your breath and let it out. Give yourself a bear hug because you're strong. Give yourself a bear hug because you're brave. Give yourself a bear hug because you're important. Give yourself a bear hug every day. Remembering to pause, remembering to be slow, remembering to not react, giving yourself grace, knowing that you are important. And the mental load is real and it's heavy. And you're not alone. But just being able to breathe, just being able to take that step back and realize that, let me breathe, let me pause, let me reassess. Now let me approach things in a way where I'm calm, clear, and collected is going to change the outcome of so many different things, especially when life is so heavy. So today, if you are carrying something heavy, be sure to give yourself that pause. Let yourself breathe. Let yourself come back to your body because you are not losing ground. You're losing stress and you are gaining clarity. So thank you for listening to another episode of the Thriving by Nature podcast and listening to another song that I sang, even if you did or did not. I don't know. I guess you would have to get through this podcast to hear that. And if you would like to meet me or work with me, or I offer free strategy sessions. I also offer a free masterclass every month where we talk about self-care, where we talk about how to build yourself. And I even have a retreat that is going to be epic and super cool. I'm super excited about it because it is in Europe and it is a self-care cruise and is on a yacht. And we are going to go from Nuremberg to Budapest. And we are starting in Nuremberg because that's where humanity forgot itself. That is where people forgot how important they were. So we're going to be learning all about self-care. You get full access to me live. It'll be so fun. And on my website, if you go to thrivingbynature.com, or you can even put in bethanystone.com, both of them are going to lead you to my website. I have an amazing journal to download, and I have a banner that you can click that will lead you to all the information about the cruise line. And if you book before December 31st, they're $750 off. The cruise line is so generous. I'm so excited. So if you're interested in any of those options, reach out, contact me. And even if you're not, go to my website and download a journal. They are beautiful. And yes, you just click the button and you will get the entire PDF of an amazing journal that you will be able to benefit from and learn from and start building yourself. Because it doesn't matter where you are on this journey, you need to meet yourself where you're at and have people meet you there too. So thank you for listening to another episode of Thriving by Nature, and I will catch you on another podcast.